Imagine you are a wealthy merchant living in the Roman city of Pompeii on a warm August morning in 79 AD. The streets are bustling with shoppers, bakers pull fresh bread from clay ovens, and children chase stray dogs through the forum. You pause to admire the view of Mount Vesuvius, a lush green mountain that rises peacefully over the Bay of Naples. For generations, nobody knew that this silent guardian was actually a volcano. There is no word for volcano in Latin. You feel a slight tremor, common enough, and you don't think twice about it. But then, around midday, the ground begins to shake violently. A deafening boom splits the air, so loud you feel it in your chest. You look up and see the top of Vesuvius rip open. A column of black smoke, ash, and pumice shoots 20 miles into the sky. The sun vanishes. Day turns to night in minutes. A rain of hot pumice stones and ash begins to fall, piling up on rooftops at 6 inches per hour. You try to flee, but the air is thick with sulfur. Breathing burns. Then, the first pyroclastic surge hits a wall of superheated gas and rock moving at 400 miles per hour. 500 degrees Celsius. In a single afternoon, the entire city of Pompeii and its neighbor Herculaneum are buried under 20 feet of volcanic debris. An estimated 16,000 people perish. The city is erased from maps for 1500 years. This is just one of the most terrifying disasters in history, and it is far from the only time humanity stared into the abyss. Today, we have seismographs, early warning systems, and disaster relief agencies. We can detect a tsunami before it hits land and evacuate hundreds of thousands with a text message. But for most of history, disaster struck without warning, without mercy, and without explanation. The Survivors didn't call them natural disasters. They called them acts of God, divine punishment, or the end of the world. And even when people survived the initial event, the aftermath, famine, disease, and societal collapse often kill more than the disaster itself. Let's go back to the ones that shook the world so hard they nearly ended civilization as we know it. The eruption that we started with, Vesuvius, wasn't even the worst one, but it gave us the most vivid, frozen in time picture of what it's like to live through the unimaginable. So, what was the most terrifying disaster in history? The answer depends on what you fear most: fire, water, plague, or the ground beneath your feet. Let's walk through the four horsemen of apocalyptic history, one by one. Our first disaster is older than Pompeii, and so powerful it may have inspired the myth of Atlantis. Around 1600 BCE, the Greek island of Thera, modern Santorini, was home to the wealthy Minoan civilization. But Thera wasn't just an island, it was a volcano, and one of the most explosive ones on Earth. When it erupted, it ripped the island apart with a force 40,000 times greater than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The blast was heard 3,000 miles away. Ash clouded the skies over Egypt and China, dimming the sun for years. A tsunami up to 150 feet high raced across the Mediterranean and slammed into Crete, the heart of Minoan power. Only 20 minutes later, entire port cities were simply erased. The Minoan fleet, the greatest navy of its time, was smashed to driftwood in an instant. The Minoan civilization, which had flourished for 2000 years, never recovered. It crumbled, leaving only ruins and a legend. Some archaeologists believe the collective memory of this catastrophe was passed down and eventually became Plato's story of Atlantis, a great civilization swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. Our second disaster struck on All Saints' Day, November 1st, 1755, in Lisbon, one of the richest cities in Europe. At 9:40 a.m., as cathedrals were packed with worshippers, a massive earthquake, estimated magnitude 8.5 to 9.0, ripped through the city. The shaking lasted for 3.5 minutes, opening fissures 16 feet wide in the streets. Thousands died in the collapsing buildings, but the worst was yet to come. The quake had triggered a tsunami. Survivors, desperate for safety, fled to the open waterfront square, the Terrero do Paso. They didn't know that this was a deadly warning sign. About 40 minutes later, a wall of water, 20 to 30 feet high, surged up the Tagus River and swallowed the square. Everyone who had sought refuge there was swept away. An estimated 10,000 people died in that single square. And if that wasn't enough, the candles and hearth fires from the quake damaged homes ignited a firestorm that raged for 5 days. All told, Between 40 and 50,000 people perished in Lisbon. The disaster shook the philosophical foundations of Europe. It was one of the first disasters where modern science and state response took center stage. The king's minister, the Marquis of Pombal, famously said, "Bury the dead and heal the living." A third disaster didn't come from the earth or the sea. It came from a flea on a rat. In 1347, Genoese trading ships docked in Messina, Sicily. They carried a cargo far deadlier than spices, the bubonic plague. Within days, the city was in agony. Within 4 years, the Black Death had killed 25 to 50 million people in Europe, up to 60% of the population. This wasn't just a disease, it was societal collapse in fast forward. Symptoms began with a fever and chills. Then painful egg-sized bubbles appeared in the groin, armpits, and neck, oozing pus and blood. Most victims died within 2 to 7 days. Some were perfectly healthy at breakfast and dead by sunset. Medieval medicine was utterly powerless. Doctors in long beak-like masks stuffed with herbs wandered the streets, but they could only record the dying. One chronicler wrote, "The dead were more numerous than the living. There was not enough ground to bury them." But the plague did something else. It broke the rigid feudal system. With so many workers gone, labor became valuable. Peasants demanded better pay, sparking revolts and the slow birth of a middle class. But the most terrifying disaster of all wasn't historical, it was prehistoric, and it almost ended us before we truly began. Around 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano called Toba on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia erupted. This wasn't just a big eruption, it was the largest volcanic event in the last 25 million years. A VEAI, a true supereruption. It ejected 2,800 cubic kilometers of ash, enough to bury the entire United States under a foot of debris. Ash and sulfur dioxide locked the sun, triggering a global volcanic winter that may have lasted 6 to 10 years, followed by a 1,000-year ice age. Temperatures dropped by an average of 5 to 9 degrees Celsius globally. Crops couldn't grow. Animals died in the cold and dark. Genetic studies reveal a staggering fact. The human population crashed to as few as 1,000 to 10,000 breeding pairs. We nearly went extinct. Those few thousand people are the ancestors of all 8 billion of us today. Every human is a descendant of a tiny group of survivors who lived through Toba. If those survivors had been in just one valley, one wrong gust of ash could have erased the human story forever. So, how did humanity survive this apocalypse? Against volcanoes, the solution was simple: run. Those who fled downhill from Vesuvius survived, those who stayed behind doors died of asphyxiation. Against tsunamis, ancient knowledge saved lives. In Japan, stone markers from past tsunamis warned, "Do not build your homes below this point." But when the disasters were global, like Toba or the plague, survival depended on something else entirely: social cohesion. The Toba catastrophe theory suggests that our ancestors survived because they cooperated, shared food, and migrated to refuges like the coast of South Africa. Archaeological sites like Pinnacle Point show that humans were harvesting shellfish and using advanced tools during this period of extreme stress. For the Black Death, the solution came far too late for millions, but it pioneered the very concept of quarantine. The word quarantine comes from the Italian quaranta giorni, the 40 days that ships had to wait before landing. The Marquis of Pombal conducted the first modern earthquake survey, asking parishes, "What did you feel? How long did it shake?" We also learned to build better. Lisbon was rebuilt with the first seismic-resistant architecture wooden pombaline cages inside stone walls. Humanity's greatest survival strategy is that we learn. Each disaster teaches us something, if we're willing to listen. We built tsunami wars, created global disease surveillance, and even monitored supervolcanoes like Yellowstone. But nature always has a vote. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and the COVID-19 pandemic prove that we are never truly immune. So, what is the most terrifying disaster in history? If you measure by sheer terror and suddenness, it might be Vesuvius' city entombed in a day. If you measure by death toll relative to population, the Black Death wins, wiping out half a continent. If you measure by existential threat, the Toba supereruption nearly deleted the human race from existence, before we even got started. But the true terror of these disasters isn't just the death they caused, it's the civilization they erased, the potential lost forever. Pompeii wasn't just people, it was thousands of stories, jokes, loves, and dreams snuffed out in an afternoon. The Minoans might have built a global maritime empire. Instead, they became a legend. Yet, here's the twist: disasters are the crucible of our resilience. After Toba, we became a more cooperative, inventive species, spreading out of Africa to populate the entire globe. After the Black Death, labor shortages forced innovation, the printing press, new machines, the Renaissance. After Lisbon, the modern world was born, a world where we try to understand, not just endure. There's a Pompeii graffito that reads, "Nothing can last for all eternity." And on the flip side, it's a reminder: if nothing lasts, neither do disasters. Today, 8 billion of us live on the same volatile planet, on the same tectonic plates, under the same yellow supervolcano. We can't stop the next eruption or the next pandemic, but we can remember that our ancestors faced the abyss and found a way through. The most terrifying disasters in history didn't end us, they shaped us. And maybe, just maybe, the scariest thing is not that they happened, but that we keep building our Pompeiis in the shadow of volcanoes, hoping this time will be different. But hope is our greatest weapon, the hope that saw a band of 10,000 survivors through a volcanic winter, the hope that rebuilt Lisbon, the hope that finds a vaccine. History's most terrifying disasters are not just stories of destruction, they are stories of us at our most fragile and at our most indomitable.